After basking in the euphoria of having successfully landed in the new year, the consciousness comes that this is a new year, it's a clean slate. What do I do with it personally? And so some persons may start with New Year resolution and then they may begin to set goals. But the kind of goal that you set, does it determine whether or not the goal is feasible? How do you follow up a goal? How do you even start setting the goal, and how do you follow up?
Thank you very much indeed. Before we go into the deep conversation, there's a need to make a distinction between resolution and goal setting. Resolution has to do with some resolve to stop doing certain things or resolve to do new things. Then goal setting, on the other hand, essentially deals with the way you tend to project whatever you're doing in the new year in a smart way. You have to be specific. Whatever goal that you set has to be measurable. It has to be reliable. It has to be time-bound. So, and these are some of the core issues that we need to understand why setting goals for the new year. In addition to that, you must have what you call accountability partner that can pull you through the process of your SMART goals.
There are those who argue that the ideal is for them to live a day per time, live, as life unfolds. Why do I need to plan? Why do I need to put things in shape? Why do I need to put things on paper? And so talk to us how significant it is for an individual to have a goal for himself or herself.
Thank you very much indeed. Goal setting is essentially about planning for the year. So when you plan, you must be specific. Where are you currently? Where do you want to be? How do you get there? These are the essential ingredients of goal setting. So if you don't have a plan in place, you might just wander through the year without achieving any specific goal. So you must have a set of tasks that you must assign your time. You must prioritize some of the goals that you set for yourself. Like I mentioned a little while ago, you must have accountability partner that help you to drive that process. This is good at the personal level and at the corporate level. Even for your financial goals, your health goals, and your personal growth in terms of human development. What plan do you have? So you need to have milestones. Do you want to do a quarterly goal setting, a bi-yearly or yearly, or you want to do daily, weekly? Whatever plan, and that you have what you call a productivity journal. You write out what you want to achieve. And I always advise people personally to always take the key, number 3, key areas of your priority for the year so that you can have a tab on what you want to do.
Now, some goals are described as unrealistic. What would make a goal unrealistic?
A goal will be unrealistic if it's not in line, one, with your values, with your core expectations, and what kind of targets have you set for yourself? So if you set a big target that you know you cannot achieve within a 12 calendar month, that goal might be unrealistic. We're not saying that you should not have a big goal, but then you must be realistic, you must be deliberate, then you must calibrate all your goals, not necessarily cast in stone, but written down, so that if there are strategies you need to rework some of those goals, then you're able to do that.
You're aware that certain people could also set goals. There are instances you set goals, but you don't get the desired result. For instance, if I set a goal that, okay, this year I'm going to make, or this month I'm going to make 10 million, that sounds interesting anyway. If I'm going to make 10 million, I eventually now make like 5 million. So there are instances where you set goals and you don't get the desired result. What could be responsible, and how do you manage that kind of situation?
Like I said earlier, your goals are not cast in stone. The business environment sometimes may have to shape some of the goals that you have set for yourself. So, for example, if you have a target of 10 million and the operating environment is not suitable to sustain that 10 million, then you need to rework your plan in line with the operating environment so that you're able to achieve your goal. And I mentioned earlier too, there are certain milestones that you need to set for yourself. For example, if you had a target of 10 million, what happened? Was your business plan well in place? Do you have the right strategy? Do you have the right workforce? Do you even have the right personal attitude to drive the process? So you must constantly rework your goal in line with your core values.
Okay, you know, earlier you talked about resolution and goal. You made a distinction. Now, can they work independently of the other? Can you achieve goals without resolutions?
Resolution is a bit, it's a bit shaky sometimes because people just make pronouncements that this is what I will do and this is not what I will do for the new year. But they are not written down. They are not smart. There are no specific milestones. There are no measurable timeline. So to that extent, resolution is something that you cannot really hold on to, unlike goal setting where you are smart. And I said specific, measurable, achievable, reliable, and time-bound. But resolutions are just statements that people make, and sometimes they can't hold on to those statements. But to a very large extent, some people have a strong resolve that can help them set their goals, and those goals can be achievable.
Let's talk about the issue of documentation when it comes to goal setting. There are people who argue, yes, I'm aware of my goals. Why do I need to put it in paper? Why do I need to document it? Talk to us. What would be the impact of documenting goals, or in a way that it makes it easier for making references?
Once you document things, like we mentioned earlier, you got to be smart about it. So, for example, for your financial goal, if you want to save 10% of your annual salary, if it's written somewhere, you become more conscious because that document is existing. So you come back to your working document to be able to appraise some of the commitments you have made. And that task, once it's achieved, you're able to strike out that particular one, then you move on to the other one. So it's essential that you must document your goals. That documentation will help you to stay on course. In terms of revising your strategy, depending on the environment in which you're operating from time to time, that document will guide you in the right direction. Then if you equally have that document, like I mentioned earlier, your accountability partner, who you're able to discuss with, somebody that you trust, is able to bring you back on the right threshold for you to be able to achieve your set goals.
All right, let's move away from personal goal setting to family goal setting. In the African setting, the man is the head of the home. Now, in setting family goals, how should it be? As the head of the home, should he set the goal and then the family follow? Or should there be a roundtable meeting, everybody coming to say, okay, this is what we want to do this year and this is how we'll get there? Which works better?
I think, in my view, a roundtable goal setting at the family level is desirable. Why? Because you need to have everybody to have a buy-in into the process of setting down goals so that everybody will have a common interest in trying to achieve what the family has set to achieve in the year. So everybody has his own contribution, his own planning, his own idiosyncrasies are put to bear in whatever you do as a family. That will equally create a bond of unity that can sustain those goals.
Talking about setting family goals, what will be the roles of the children? And I want you to be very specific. And how do you incorporate them into the goal setting process? At what point, and what specifically will be their roles, you know? And then for couples, you know, what are the kind of goals they should set for themselves, and for the family, what are the specific areas where they need to set goals so that it becomes a family project?
I think the goal setting has to be all-embracing. One, the family value, to what extent can they sustain the family value. They need to have what you call family personal goal. You need to have family financial goal. You need to have a family health goal. So when you have a synchronization of all these, everybody is carried along in that process. Then individuals within the family will have their core responsibility in terms of how to achieve those goals, who is carrying what target. If they are school age, you prioritize their school fees, and the children must be made to understand at the beginning of the year that you are prioritizing their school fees. Therefore, there are certain demands that they will make on the family that will not be easily be achievable, because you are focusing on how you can achieve those financial goals that is beneficial for the entire family. So a global goal that represents the family personal goal, driven essentially by the family value, the head goals, the financial goal must be inclusive.
Talking about financial goals for the family, for some, except there is a joint account towards that goal, it's kind of hard to achieve some financial goals. But some couples have issues or have a different opinion regarding joint accounts. How possible can it be to have financial goals with or without a joint account? For people who differ about that, how can they go about it?
Well, it's not cast in stone. It depends on how individual family plan their finances. If they want to have a joint account, that's desirable. If they don't want a joint account, that's equally desirable. So, but what is important is that when you come together as a family and you have a set financial goal, the way you want to achieve that is dependent on if you want to save 1 million, for example, and there's a target for the first quarter, once there's a commonality of interest, whatever level of money to be saved, if you don't have a joint account, then that money has to come in full stream into a particular person's account for the specific project that is meant for. So there are a lot of issues, debates around joint account, individual account. I can't speak to that specifically, so that varies from family to family, and that has to do with the trust level and the background that people are coming from.
Now, how do you handle, family financial goals based on projections? There are instances where you project certain money is going to come. You project you're going to make $1 million naira, and eventually you have less of that. So is it advisable, professional, to make projections based on estimated or expected income, or it has to be by the virtue of funds that are available?
I think to be on the safe ground, it's always very important to plan with your last financial, for 2023, if you have a budget of X amount, then to what extent were you able to achieve that? If you didn't achieve that to a certain percentage, what you can do, just like in the corporate world, you may need to have a 20% increase on the new year. So for example, you had a target of 1 million last year, then you upscale to 1.2 million. It's just a projection based on your current earning. Then you have what you call multiple stream of income. Some may not come to fruition, but the basic one that you plan with, you have to find a way to see that that projection is sustainable. Then you must be disciplined in terms of your saving culture, vis-a-vis your propensity to spend money. Sometimes people even spend money before those money are actually earned. But it's always good to spend what you earn, and you must be disciplined. And there's this principle in those people that talk about personal finances. That's what you call paying yourself. After paying your spiritual head, for those of you who believe essentially that 10% must be given to your belief system, then on the other hand, pay yourself 10% of whatever you earn, and that forms a cost-saving element for you. But then don't just put in a savings account where you are pressed, there's a likelihood that you are going to pull that money out. So you look for mutual fund. So this is essential that you must design some of the financial instruments that you need to invest in the year, so that at the end of every financial year, you're able to earn some additional income beyond the ones that you keep for sustainable living. Because you must put a percentage of your money, about 30% of your money. If you have 100% throughput, about 30% should be left for expense. You make some savings for health. You make some savings for your future investment.
Now, in the family, you talked about when goals are set, there should be an accountability partner. So in the family system, who should be the accountability partner of the family goal? Is it everybody?
No, somebody must hold everybody to account. So whoever is more disciplined within the family arena should be assigned with the responsibility of bringing people to the drawing board. But beyond that, there are people that you trust, even at the family level, who can superintend over your goals. So it's not out of place that you can even have an accountability partner who could be an uncle, an aunt, any other person that you trust, even a friend that pulled you through in that process for the goals that you have set for yourself in the year. It's very critical that you have an accountability partner. That brings you back if you are going off your track.
Now, let's look at some of the common mistakes people make when it comes to goal setting. What are these errors that they make, these assumptions or negative attitude to goal setting that eventually make it to be unproductive exercise?
Generally, people don't want to plan. Some people just want to live by the day. That's one of the major pitfalls. People feel that there's no need to document your goals. Number three, people always have the feeling that how much are they earning? I'm earning X, Y amount. Why do I need to plan? Why can't I just basically live by? So these are some of the pitfalls. But it's important, whatever level of income that you have in the year, you need to plan. You need to set goals, financial goals, your personal development goals, your health goals. At the beginning of the year, you should be able to do a medical vitals, a check on your health status, so that if you have challenges, you're able to detect those challenges. So we must be deliberate in terms of setting goals for ourselves. Just the same way at the company-wide level, you set goals for the new year. Individuals must set goals and targets for themselves, and they must put milestones and deliverables to which they can achieve those goals.
Talking about deliverables and milestones, you see that at the start of every year, almost everyone is energetic and optimistic about the year. The enthusiasm with which to pursue the goal is so much. But give the end of the first quarter, that's beginning to drop. Give the second quarter, is beginning to drop. What happens along this line? How can one ward against such pitfalls that the zeal with which you start pursuing after your goal from the start of the year continues till you achieve that goal?
The greatest asset of mankind is hope. You must put hope alive, sustain hope. And that's why there's a need for you to write your goals down. So when there are challenges, you're able to review based on the operating environment, which I spoke to earlier, so that you don't stay out of focus. So hope, focus, and be true to your goals, so that you're able to manage those goals more meaningfully in a sustainable manner, and that you're able to achieve certain elements in spite of challenges that may come your way.
You know, it's another thing to have beautiful goals. Then when it comes to implementation, it's another ballgame. There are certain individuals, they're good at coming up with ideas, but when it comes to implementation, it is a challenge. So as an individual, how do you overcome that if, you know, some people are not choleric when it comes to implementing those ideas, and that become a problem? So for people like that, how can they help themselves, or what can they do to ensure that they translate their goals to reality by making use of the right attitude, not procrastinating or being afraid to take decisions?
I think key in terms of that is that generally across the globe, that's what we call the problem of execution. That's implementation. So for you to be able to execute your goals, there's a need to have that goals written down. From time to time, you need to ask yourself some basic questions. This is where I am, this is where I want to be, and this is how I want to get there. Once you have those three key elements, you are able to stay on course, and the problem of implementation will be solved to a very large extent. So as you put up your goal, then you must have the power of execution. Execution is key. Even organization has that challenge. The power of execution. You have something beautiful on paper, but the ability to execute become a challenge. But then you must have that frame of mind that for you to be able to be successful in a given year, then you must stay true to your goal.
What is the role of association and character in achieving goals?
Well, character is essentially about the values that drive you, and once you stay focused, you are hopeful, and you are disciplined in terms of your value proposition, then the issues of association is not necessarily a problem. But your character is driven by your set of values. And once you're able to stay in course with your values, and you're not driven by the idiosyncrasies of other people, then you'll be able to achieve your target to certain elements, even if you don't even achieve them 100%. But that keeps you going, that keeps you focused.